cotton fields and whippoorwills, where I spent my happy childhood among the rocks and among the rills. I can see my dear old mother as around the place she goes, on my farm in Louisiana, where the old Red River flows. You can hear those darkies singing soft and low, and at twilight in the evening, so soft and low, so low. On my farm in Louisiana, where the old Red River flows. The lights are bright tonight on Broadway, and the big city's bright as day. On the beach at Coney Island, where the liquor makes you gay. But I'm headed south tonight, dear, on that I see when she goes, to my farm in Louisiana, where the old Red River flows.
Okay, the Packard company was founded in 1899 in Warren, Ohio, by two brothers who were making and manufacturing electrical parts and components for the beginning of the electricity age. They identified the opportunity to get into the automobile market, so they began making motor cars, and they moved the company from Warren, Ohio to Detroit, Michigan, and began the serious business of making Packard cars. They identified an opportunity to get into the luxury car market, and they began making motor cars of high quality in engineering, and that's where the company became famous, for its quality of engineering. The company stayed in business up until 1958. It had been at that time absorbed as part of the Studebaker brand, but by 1958 it was closed down. In that time they were renowned for their engines, including marine engines and aircraft engines, and they built the Liberty engine, which was used in aircraft. The car side of the business flourished, making luxury cars in competition with makes like Pierce Arrow, Cadillac, Duesenberg, and during the late 20s and early 30s they outsold those brands. This car's a 1929 Series 6 Packard, straight 8. It's the smaller of the 8-cylinder cars. There were two 8-cylinders made in that time. This is the smaller 320 cubic inch engine. This car was imported brand new into Australia in 1929 by IRA L&AC Burke Limited, William Street, Sydney, and sold to an agency of the New South Wales government. And they used it for a number of years up around the Blue Mountains, where it was used to transport people and mail. It was decommissioned in the Second World War and placed into a shed and left in storage. I acquired the car in 1973 along with my uncle, and we began a restoration on the car. By 1978 the car was complete, but sadly in 1981 there was a bit of a circumstance and the car had to be sold. It changed hands a couple of times and went to live in northern New South Wales in Australia, and I bought the car back from that owner back into the family in 2021. It undertook a bit of work at that time, and it's now running like it's a brand new car. The original restoration was commenced in 1975 by my uncle and myself. It took about 2.5 years to do a ground-up restoration, working most nights and on weekends. And it was driven on club runs and occasional rallies. It's a very interesting car because it's a club sedan, which was designed by the Detrick automobile company. They used to make bodies. This car is a Ray Detrick design, club sedan. The body is short, placed above the wheelbase, slightly forward with a trunk on the back. First designed in 1925 by Ray Detrick and then absorbed into the Packard range of bodies. They didn't make very many of these cars at all. So effectively it's a Detrick body Packard. This car came with the blessing of being a complete original car in one piece. It was a little bit derelict, but essentially speaking, everything that was required on the car was on the car when it was bought in 1973 in a derelict state. Every part on the car then had to be restored, nut and bolt. The engine's a straight 8, 320 cubic inch, flat head. The carburettor is updraft. It's aspirated through atmospheric, no accelerator pump as such. The fuel is sucked into the carburettor from a fuel bowl through a venturi, which then vaporizes the fuel and sucks it into the engine upwards rather than conventional downdraft. This is the reverse. Gearbox is 3-speed and a reverse. It's a crash gearbox. You need a double clutch to shift the gears. When the car was purchased by the New South Wales government, it had green leather upholstery inside it, which was in the process of restoration was restored back to so it would have Bedford cord seats and broadcloth. In the doors and the roof lining are a broadcloth wool, and the seats are wool Bedford cord 4-inch plate. All the bright work is all chrome. The interior, the woodwork is all walnut, and the window winders are nickel plate.
Yeah, well, the mascot's the Adonis. That's a Greek god who was the mortal lover of Aphrodite. The mascot's usually featured on the more sportier type bodies, such as this club sedan. It would be on an open touring car and a roadster. The Adonis mascot is specific to Series 6, 7, 8 and 9 cars. So that's for the years 1929, 1930, 1931 and 1932.
This car here is a 1929 Series 6. Packard did not make cars in model years, they made them in series, beginning Series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 and onwards. The Series 4, 5 and 6 cars, some were made in the same year, 1928. And in 1929 they went to this new 8-cylinder design, and that became the Series 6 in August 1928. The Series 6 continued to August 1929. Over 30,000 cars were made by Packard in 1929 for the Series 6. This particular vehicle is factory built right-hand drive, and its production number has the letter R after its number, which would signify a factory built right-hand drive car. It's used only on limited occasions, such as special car shows and occasional short runs. I don't do rallies in the car or take it on long drives. As far as the pleasure I get from the car, well, probably the biggest pleasure I get out of it is getting the car back into my life after it was out my life for 37 years, nearly 40 years. Being able to buy the car back and bring it back into the family again was a big thrill.
You can hear those darkies singing soft and low, and that twilight in the evening, so soft and low, so low. On my farm in Louisiana,